Hello friend, welcome back. In our previous video, we successfully able to get user all the data, right? Here we successfully complete this part. So it will be hit one of the API and then it's fetch all the data and visible this data in our front end. Now I want to work for our this repository. That means if this user have any repository, then that will be display one by one in here. Okay. Now let's do that work. For doing this, as I told you, when you access this API, it's provided one of the object, right? Into this object, there is one of the property as a repos URL. So if you access this repos URL, this user, all that repository you will get by this API. Okay, with this API, you can actually able to access all that this user repository. Now we have to fetch this API, right? If you go to our code, into this code, you can see before for the get user, I have already fetched this URL. Now our URL is become changed. Now we want to access our this URL. Okay. So if you want to do that work, what exactly you have to do? Simple work that will be just like that same. Here I want to call another function. Okay, that will be another asynchronous function. So I make it as asynchronous. So asynchronous, and I make it one of the function name. I just name it as a get repository. Repos. So now that will be our repository method, and into this method I want to pass out this profile. Okay, that is our profile. I simply pass it. Get. Now I want to fetch this data. So that will be just like that same. Okay, that will be just like that same. Better I write down it again. After that I will use it as a constant variable. That is one of the constant variable. I make it as a response. Okay, so that is our response, and then that will be one of the asynchronous functions. So for the reasons here we have to add that as await. Okay, that is our await, and then I want to call that our fetch method. Okay, so that will be the fetch method, and into this fetch method area here I want to pass out the back tag, and into this back tag area what exactly you have to do here. That is our API. I have already get all that our API details into this profile, right? With this profile, now I want to access our this repository URL, right? Simple work. Now I want to do here, that will be into this backtick area. So first of all, that will be as a $sign, and then the curly bracket, and first time that will be as a profile, right? And into this profile, then I want to access as a repository URL. I copy it, then that will be as a repository URL. Great. And also I want to pass that our client ID, like here, like that will be just like that same. Better I want to copy it. Okay, I want to copy it, and then that is ended. I copy it, and then here I paste it. Because when you use that as a client ID, I have already created it. So as I told you, now you are able to call 5,000 API in 1 hour. Okay, so I simply take both of this, our client ID and then the secret key. Great. And after that, what exactly you have to do? So the same procedure that I have already done before. So it should be same. I take one of the another variable as a constant. I just name it as a repos. Okay, a repo. And then here I want to do with this await. With this await, I want to pass that our response data. So that is our response, right? That is our response, all the data. That will be on the JSON format. So I make it as a JSON. Great. Same, and now I want to return it. That means I want to return this repo. Okay, I simply returned it. The procedure will be just like that same. Here I have already done the same things. Now I have already done it in here. I hope friend it's very much clear to you what exactly the things I have done in particular that position. Now I want to call this method. Okay, I want to call this method when I should be perfectly get that user data, right? And after that, better here I want to take another constant variable, and I just name it as a repos. Okay, repos, and then that will be same as the await, and with this await here I want to call our this method name as a get response, and into this position here also you have to pass that our profile, right? That will be as a profile. I want to pass this profile, because if you go to our method, into this method you can say I also pass that as a profile. So now I simply pass it. Great. So now if you want to check that repos, you can also check it with the console log. Okay, console, I want to check it first. It's perfectly get appropriate this user all the repository or not. Here I want to pass that repos. Okay, repos. I simply pass it. Now let's check this out. If you now click as a save all, and now if you go to our front end, click as a refresh, and here I want to do the search with this user. I copy it, and now I search it, and better I want to open with the inspect. Okay, inspect, and if you now go to that console, into this console, if you search with this user, okay, with this user, it's perfectly get this user all the data. So right now there is a 30 repository. You can see there is a length as a 30, so that is our user details. Okay, that means this user details, and that is all that repository. Here if you want to add that limitations, like right now there is a 30 repository in here, so if you want to add that limitation, like how many repository you want to visible in here, I want to visible as a 5 or 10. Okay, so if you want to add some of the limitation, you can also add it. Then we have to run another query, like that is actually our get response, right? Here after this only you have to do then that will be as a and sign. Okay, that will be as a and then per underscore page. Okay, per page I want to display as a 10. Okay, that will be displayed as a 10. So now that's all you have to do. If you now click as a save all, and now I want to run it again, but I copy it. That is our username. I refresh it. Now paste it, search it. Now you can see it's now perfectly get only the 10. Okay. So now it successfully get this 10. So now which is totally fine. Now this all that repository I want to visible in here. So if you want to do that work here, we have to run of the for loop, right? Because with this for loop, one by one it will be check, and if you get any data, then that will be get this data, right? If you want to do that work, like the index, into this index right now there is the static. I have already displayed two of this. Here you can see there is one of the dev, and that is our repository, right? That is one. If you select it, that is ended in here, so that is one, and also there is our another one. Okay, so now I want to take it, and then we have to append it in our this. That means that will be our child, right? Here we have to append it. So for doing this, I want to do first I want to create another function. Okay, I want to, that is all that our get response, right? Into the get response data, and then that is our show profile. Here I want to call another one. Okay, I want to call another function name as a show repository. Okay, before I display the profile, now I want to display the repository. Okay, repos. I simply loaded, and here also I want to pass that our which things I want to pass that our response. Okay, that means this response I want to do and to pass it. Great. So now I want to call this method. Okay, I call this method, I copy it, and then here I name it as a function, and then our method name. So that is our method. Great. And in particular that position I pass that our repos data. That means that is actually our repos data. I have already get all the data before. I have already discussed about that things with you. Now in particular that position we have to run out the for loop, right? Because one by one it will be get all the data. That will be as a for of. So I make it as a for, and then the late I take one of the variable as a repo. Okay, whatever the name actually you choose, variable as a repo of which one, all the data right now in here, right now in particular that position. And after that I want to run our for loop. Okay, so right now all the data in here, now we are able to access this with this. Okay, that means with this variable. So if you already know a little bit the Laravel, so in Laravel what exactly we have done, we take all that variable and then we make it as whatever the name actually you choose, right? But in JavaScript it's a little bit different. Whatever the data right now here we have to pass it, and then you have first time that will be declared the variable. Okay, now with this repo variable here, now we want to visible all the data. Okay, that means one by one that will be incremented. For the reasons here I want to do, here I take one of the variable with the late and then make it as a new HTML. Okay, I make it as a HTML, and then for the first time I want to make it as a empty. Okay, here I make it as a empty. Great. And then in our for loop, into this for loop area here, now one by one that will be as a plus, right? I want to do that will be as a new HTML. This new HTML will be as a plus equal. I make it as a equal, and here one by one we have to add it, right? For the reasons here I take one of the backtick. Okay, into this backtick area I want to take our which part, that is our repo part. Okay, I select it. You can see it's ended in particular that area, so that means this div I want to copy, and now in our index here I want to do paste it. Okay friend, I hope it's very much clear to you. Now that is our backtick. I want to write down these things in like that way. So that is our last one. Okay, that is our total function. okay, which is totally fine. So here, if I have already get that our repos all the data, that means we get that our API, that means this one, right? Now I want to display all that name. Like here, what data I want to visible, like that is one of the name, right? If you want to display this name, what exactly you have to do, and that will be first time that was a $sign and then the curly bracket, and into this curly bracket everything right now into the repo, right? So now with this repo, now we are able to access our this API, that means our main API as a repo URL I have already called. So that means that is our total API. Now I want to display this name, okay, that is the name. I copy it, and after that I want to display that name. Great. And if you want to add that URL will be here, that is our, you can see there is a HTML URL, right? So there is a HTML URL I want to add. But I copy it, that will be same. I simply paste it, and here right now that will be as a HTML URL. Okay, so right now that is our API, and into this API that I have before I did the same things. Okay, that is our all that object property data. Now I want to access or this one, right? That is our another one. So HTML URL I want to display this HTML URL. Great. And after that, the name, that is our language. Which type of language is that? Here I want to display this language. If you want to display it, there is also another part. Here there is a lot of the things in here. You can see there is a language. I want to display this language. I copy it. So here that will be the same process, but I copy it. I want to paste it. I want to paste it, and also here I paste it. So that will be as a language. I want to display this language. Our language will be displayed, which is totally fine. And then the star outline. Okay, star outline means there is the watcher. Okay, here that have also another watcher. I want to use it. You can see there is a watcher count. Okay, there is a watcher count, and also there is a watcher count as a 5. I want to use this watcher count. Okay, I copy it. That will be as a watcher count. And then the outline as a branch outline, right? Branch outline I want to make it as a this one. Okay, flux, there's a flux count. I copy it, and here I want to display this flux count. Great. And now we have to actually add our this total dev. We have to add this total dev in our this reports. Okay, that is a main dev, right? Into this main dev area there is a repos. Here we have to append it, right? Now I want to add it. So if you want to add it, then what exactly you have to do, I hope you already know. After that, for loop. Okay, so that is our for loop, and after that I want to access it with the document and then the query selector, and with this query selector I want to get this our class name. So if you want to get this class name, our class name is repos. Okay, I will copy it, that will be our repos, and I get it, and into this area with this inner HTML I want to simply add this. That's all you have to do. I make it as inner HTML, and into this inner HTML that will be which one? That will be our this variable as a new HTML. Okay, I simply take it. Now that's all. Now that should be displayed perfectly. Okay, here I simply add that our total dev in here. Great. So that's all you have to do. Now let's check this out. Click as a save all. If everything okay, it should be work. Right now there is all that is static. Now click as a refresh. If you go right now into search with the name. Okay, search with the name, and now click as a enter. Now if you go, yes, you can see it's not perfectly get all the repository, and I put some of the limitation as a 10 for the reasons you can see it's not display as a 10. Great. And if you search with the easy learning BD, now search it, everything is great. Yes, you can see it's also perfectly get all my repository. Right now there are the 10, and you can see it's also display the star mark, everything. Okay, there is also display the language, HTML, null, PHP, everything. Great. I hope friend you like it very much. Here we successfully done this job. Okay, we successfully get that user, and also we successfully get this user all that repository. So that is the pretty much basic thing. So that is our main API. Into this API there is another property I declare as a repos URL. I call another URL this user related all that repository. I successfully get it, and now it's successfully visible it in here. Okay, Great. In our next video, I want to do when you search one keyword to the another keyword, I want to load one of the loading animation here. How can do this work in our next video? I will show you that things with a live example. So thanks for watching. I will see you in the next video.